Welcome back to the Fit Family podcast, where we are today talking about body image. Something pretty controversial, something certainly very prevalent in the fitness industry. So we're excited to break that down and give our thoughts on it. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you.
But before we get into that, we do want to quickly let you know about boot camp, of which we have a couple of spots remaining.
No, just one.
Just one spot remaining at the early bird price of $299. It is a 6-week program. It's a hybrid program, which means it's a blend of in-person and online training. It also includes nutrition. So if you are interested in finding out a little bit more about that, certainly give us a message. We're pretty excited, and it's going to be a really good way to finish off the year.
Definitely. I'm super excited to do some in-person stuff.
Yeah, it's been a while for you.
It has.
Yeah. Sessions will be at Ford Park in Ivanhoe, but you do also have the capability to do this program in line with everyone who is doing it in person, totally online, which I think is certainly fairly new for us in our training journey, but exciting for people who want to take part but can't quite get there. All right. Body image. What is it, Dan? Oh, you're running. You want to talk? What? Have you got a big event on the weekend or something? Jeez, it's all
just
she's
reminding
got.
you. Yes, he's not even looking at the run sheet, guys.
It's not on the run sheet. This is the first week she's ever done any preparation for our podcast, guys, and she's already thrown it into an absolute shambles. Have you got a big run on the weekend or something?
I do.
Yeah. She's been real humble about it. So we are, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. The run is on Sunday morning. You take off at 6:30. Obvious question.
Yes.
How you feeling about it?
Oh, pretty good.
Pretty good. I think you did say, what did you say last week? You're like, no, I'm ready.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. I mean, just about the hardest part of a marathon, obviously, besides the running of the marathon, is getting through the prep unscathed. And this is training for any event. Like, we've got some of our clients who are training for the Beyond Blue fun run, either the half marathon, 10K or 5K. And when you start to get into those increased training loads, like your immunity system just drops a little bit. You're stressing your body to a level that's pretty unsustainable to achieve a result that's also unsustainable. So, it's a fairly arduous effort to get that fit and not break.
Okay, yeah, I can't believe it.
Yeah, especially as, like someone into like middle-aged years. We're not 18. I'm just saying, we're not 18, 19 anymore. There are realities.
He saw my eyes, guys.
You're double the age of an 18-year-old. How about that?
Wow.
Yeah. So it's just that the younger you are, you're like an elastic band. You can get away with doing dumb stuff and be fine. This is why all professional sports people are in their early 20s. And then as you get older, it does start to get harder. And that's just physically speaking. That's not even talking about the lifestyle and logistical side of training for something that takes hours. It takes hours. Every weekend for the past 3 months, you've been, out running for 2 to 3 hours more. I think I made you doing a 3.5. I don't know. I'd have to review the program. It escapes me at the moment, but these events are really hard, which makes the completing of them, if I'm foreshadowing ahead, the completing of them special.
Yeah.
That's what makes them hard. It's the just like Miley Cyrus in a documentary, it's the climb.
It's the climb.
It's not the view. Everyone wants the view results and no one's prepared to take the stairs. So it's a hard thing to do. What has been, I think, a valuable question for our audience to find out, what has been the big difference between this marathon prep compared to last one 2 years ago now when we did the Great Ocean Road? Not the actual day, obviously, that was slightly, more than slightly not to plan, but what's been the biggest difference in the preparation and the training?
I've had a tailored program the entire time, completed by you. Yeah. That has just removed the mental load for me completely. All I had to do was execute.
Just rock up and do it.
And I haven't had that experience in a very long time. Obviously, we're in the industry. In the past, we have invested a lot in programming. I've had a personal trainer. obviously we believe in it.
We obviously know the value of coaching.
Absolutely. But I haven't actually engaged in it in a very long time. And that has just been an absolute no-brainer for me. If I was ever to do another endurance event, 100%, I'd just go straight.
I mean, following a program, like I've had time where I've just rolled into the gym and done what I've been told, and I've also had times where I've followed an online program, and I've had times where I've done my own programming. And doing your own programming is so much harder than just following someone else, because you can just kind of shut your mind off and just trust the process.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously don't do a dumb program, but like if you trust the person who's giving you the stuff, and if you ask a question, they can answer it in a way that you understand, and you're feeling, confident in the vision, and you're feeling good, then, it's just, headspace that you can assign elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, guaranteed.
That has been, the absolute no-brainer. The other thing would have to be, I had a big change in circumstances. So last time I was working full-time, trying to run our business, getting in runs at lunchtime, and I just didn't have the same flexibility because you used to work mornings. I couldn't train in the mornings. My time to train was very limited, so it did look very different, the training experience. I had to do more runs more regularly, so I was doing a lot of lunchtime running and a lot less shorter runs.
A lot more short runs.
A lot less longer runs. Sorry, I got the wrong way around. So on my weekends, because I worked full time, I wasn't willing to sacrifice
3 hours. Yeah.
I simply wasn't. So I only did
we did one long one.
Long runs. I did 1:30 before the last mara, whereas in the lead up to this one, I've done 2:30s and a 36.
Yeah. So you're well and truly, and like that confidence in your ability on the day, like I know you're uber confident in your fitness at the moment, is because you've got that proof. Like I always tend to worry about people who are maybe a little bit naive about these events when they kind of get to the point, and I think what's the longest they've done, and it's like, it's about 75%, or it's like, and it does depend on the person, and you and I are a walking example of this. Is like you love evidence in your own ability to be able to do something. So that 36 Ks is important. It's like, I've got it. Whereas I'm probably a little bit more, and it's not confident because it's naive, where it's like, nah, I'll be fine. And then just make it up on the day and see how it goes. But like having that extra load behind you, it'll make a massive difference.
Yeah, the load. I'm actually thinking it's going to be harder for me to reduce the load. I'm really enjoying the load probably a bit too much.
Are you enjoying the extra training, or are you enjoying the focus on a specific outcome? Because there's a difference.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, like how my head goes afterwards.
Yeah, you'll just have to shift.
And also
what you're focusing on.
I just ate a cookie.
Yeah.
I will.
Also, enjoying the higher metabolism
the higher metabolism, I've been eating more food.
Yeah.
I'll kind of miss that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a reality of like when you are running for 5 hours a week, then obviously your metabolic burn is going to be just that much higher.
Yeah.
So next time you listen to a podcast, we will be through the marathon, hopefully injury free, no dramas, and under 4 hours.
Oh,
yeah.
Why did you do that?
Well, that's what you said. Hopefully under 4 hours.
Oh, you didn't have to broadcast that.
Nah, stop it.
I've got an injured running buddy. Stop it.
No, it will be fine.
Okay.
All right.
Body image.
Moving on to body image, and you actually did something that was quite valuable before and sent it to me, and I was just like, oh yeah, we should probably start with that. Can you give me the dictionary definition, please?
I love it, because I don't believe many people actually know
Yeah.
the definition of body image.
Yeah.
So it's a person's subjective picture or mental image of their own body.
And what do you think that most people tend to think it is? Like, well, where do you think people's mind go when they start to talk about a body image, and a positive body image or a negative body image?
They just think, does that person look good to them? Like, I think people go straight to themselves, what they think of that person, rather than what that person thinks of themselves.
As in everyone's opinion of me.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so instead of like, this is how I feel about myself, it's like, this is how other people feel about me, which then impacts how I feel about myself.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, when I read the definition, the word that just jumped out to me was subjective. Like, it's just purely opinion. Like, there's no fact about it. It's not an inarguable number. There's no mathematics. There's no science. There's no, well, 2 + 2 is 4, and it just is. It's just purely, I woke up and I had a pizza and I feel crap, or I woke up and I felt light and now I am good. Like, it just floats with the wind.
Yeah. Something I think, and we can relate this to everything in life, no one can ever understand how an individual is feeling. And that's what it's about. It's that person's feeling towards themselves.
Good point. Can't really touch on that. So, how do you rate your body image?
Now?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Good. Good. Would you say that you feel terrific every day? As though it's something that it doesn't cross your mind at all? Because I think this is a bit of a common misconception about people who, like, externally, people would assume that they have a great relationship with their body. And I'm going to make a point in a minute. In my experience, I'll let you answer and then...
No, it's something that fluctuates, and it's something that has fluctuated a lot during my lifetime, I would say.
Yeah. When, like, what can you pinpoint as a bit of a turning point in regards to the way you've felt about your own body and what you did or what you were doing that kind of really made that big change?
I'd say that I had quite a negative body image younger in life, and I didn't have a good or a positive body image until after I had William.
What do you think it was about that? Like, because I think most people would assume that, yes, teenage years might be hard, and this is specifically a male perspective. Like, I would expect that most teenagers would have an up and down relationship with their body and all the changes that are happening and everything, and, you know, the pressure to fit in and really over investing in other people's opinion of you. But I also think that normally for women, in my mind at least, childbirth or having a kid would possibly affect the way they view their body in a negative way. Like, because lots of people that I've spoken to have always spoken about the goal of, like, oh, pre-baby weight or pre-this or pre-that, as though that's a goal.
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of myself, I'm not saying that I'm the leanest I've ever been, and that's another thing I think we should say about body image is people often think that thinner people have better body image.
Oh, yeah. This was the point I wanted
body image,
to make. The people in my experience who I've coached over, 10 years now, I've been a PT, the people who have had the most trouble with the way they view themselves have been people who are lean, fit, well, and then that other people would think that, they wouldn't even worry about it. And they're the people who right at the top of the spectrum are the ones who kind of really struggle. And I think that's the important part about the way you view yourself in general, is that just because you would look at a person and say, what's he got to worry about? What's she got to worry about, as a way of kind of diminishing their own opinion, because in your mind, they look amazing. They will be the ones who, I guarantee, they could list you 10 things they wish they could change.
I remember seeing this video on Instagram. Now, there's not much positive things I have to say about social media.
Great memes.
It was a video on body image, and they were interviewing kids, and they were saying, what's the one thing that you'd change about yourself? And it was so gorgeous.
I wish I could fly and stuff like that. Yeah.
All these kids are like, I wish I had a tail. I wish I had a unicorn horn.
Yeah, I'd love wings.
And then they did the exact same experiment on adults.
Oh, it was grim.
And the responses were just, it would blow your mind.
Yeah, it was like smaller nose, or my eyes are too far apart. I've always had big ears. And it's stuff that as a viewer you would never assume.
Yeah, it was insane. Like hairlines. It was so sad.
Yeah.
And not one of those adults, obviously, answered with something crazy or...
Yeah, like a unicorn horn or spots, like the kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's clearly something that I think for them, and it's always like when you get negative feedback about something that you've done, when it's something that you can't control, I feel like it just hits a bit more. Like, you know, as a kid, you know, getting called chubby or whatever it is, it's sort of just like, oh, like it's so personal and so emotional and intense that it's like, it sticks with you for ages. And I bet if you ask that person, oh, do you remember when you called me a fatso? They'd be like, what are you even talking about?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, cool, because that really changed my life. It's like, yeah, anyway, now I'm a personal trainer. So it's like, it's just stuff that, you know, and people will say this about social media, and it's true about our own bodies, where it's like, you'll get 99 positive comments or feedback, and that one negative one will ruin your day and ruin your year, and it's all you can think about. And it, you know, it can be an emotional driver, but it's so draining. And your body image and the way you view yourself is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. It's always external opinions that we've taken to heart. Like, no one's ever woken up and been like, oh, you know what? My nose is a bit big. Just without having someone else mention it.
Yeah, it was massive in high school. I remember all the girls it was all about noses, like who had the perfect nose. You know,
I've never understood
we'd
nose
go
jobs
on the
personally.
side, like profile.
Yeah, like some plastic surgery stuff, it's like, oh, I can see that. You know, like I can see how that would be important to someone, whether it's a boob job or bum or tummy tuck or whatever it is. Nose jobs, really?
Oh, it was. Do you know how many of the girls, as soon as they legally could,
yeah, strange.
they had it done? Yeah.
But like, again, through the lens of a dumb male, like I'm looking at it, and never once have I been like, oh, a beautiful girl, what's up with her nose? It's like sort of like a strange, yeah, I don't know. But we're our own harshest critic for sure.
Yeah. So we've defined what body image is, and you said to me, why do I think that it changed? Being postpartum, it is an odd time because obviously your body does change a lot during
You're not the only one, but it is, you're probably in the minority, I think.
And but I think a lot of it has to do with mindset, to be honest, and environment. So growing up, I grew up in a very conservative environment where bodies weren't necessarily celebrated. It was more like something you hid. Something like no one would even know this about me now, but prior to meeting you, and I think you had the biggest impact on my overall positive body image, was because, before I met you, there is no way I would have worn shorts, for example. I remember that was something that you're always like, why don't you wear shorts? It's hot. Why aren't you wearing shorts? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Because growing up, we were told to cover up 100%. And that's something that I think we're really relaxed with in our home environment as a family. Our bodies are not something that we are ashamed of. And it's just life. Like you know, our bodies are for us to be able to be fit and healthy and do whatever it is we want to do.
Yeah.
We don't associate that kind of image.
Yes, celebrating physicality is something that's important to me personally, and us, you know, in our house, and what the kids can do compared to what they are is important. Like, you know, you might have seen on our Instagram the other day, Mia trying her guts out to do a pull-up, or Harry doing his knee tucks, and he's got a splinter and he thinks it's a callus, and he won't let us take the splinter out. We're gonna need to amputate the kid's hand. Oh. Have you taken it out yet?
No.
Yeah, good. Okay.
I'm hoping it's gonna fall out.
Yeah, it's not. You're like, look, Dad, I'm like you. I've got I've got hard bits on my hands, and I'm like, oh man, there's a splinter. You can see it clear as. But you know, and even now, William get into 12, and you know, he's a lean, fit, athletic kid, and he has got comments on his body at school.
Yeah,
100%, because he, you know, it tells us when he gets home, or he's got a six pack and he's strong and he can do this and that, and they all comment on how athletic he is, and it's going to be a challenge as he gets into teenage years for not only him to navigate that, because, you know, it's normal for kids to form some kind of identity around that. or like that's important because it lets kids view me in a positive light, or that's, you know, like it's a bit of a status thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was even speaking to a client this morning who's got teenage kids, and just how hard it is navigating, you know, the way they view themselves, and not telling them that they're crazy and like trying to invalidate the way they feel.
Yeah.
But it's just so challenging.
It's a
to
sensitive,
watch.
yeah.
It's just, it would, I can already imagine it's going to be so hard to watch your kids go through that, even though we all have been through that. And maybe it's just a necessary part of growing up, is not being 100% satisfied with everything you bring into the table. You know, like that, I think that's totally normal. But, and obviously with the heightened, you know, inability to regulate your emotions as a teenager, then it's like, it's just such high and low swings that it's like, oh, like everything's a huge deal. Compared to as an adult, it's a bit of a, okay, you know, and on we go, or we have a level of self-awareness where you can, you know, make good with the thoughts you have in your head. But yeah, it's easy for us now with a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 12-year-old. Ask us in 10 years, and I bet it's like, oh my God, this is a nightmare. There's social media, this and that, and every juggle, and yeah, the constant comparing, and yeah, it's going to be a nightmare. I'm foreshadowing a nightmare.
Yeah, but I do think environment does play a massive role, and for the next generation, so for our children, I do believe that social media piece is just it's massive, and yeah, something I think needs to be navigated. And
who knows, in 10 years there might be a ban on social media for kids anyway. Like they're talking about it in, was it South Australia? They're trying to ban it for kids under 16, I think. But yeah, so it's certainly, I think it does more harm than good, that type of stuff, especially when we as parents aren't necessarily privy to everything that's happening there, but the impacts can just be massive.
Massive, very
massive.
Very big. Yeah. So those things we just touched on for myself. How about yourself? How would you rate your body image now?
Funnily enough, I would say for the large part of my life, my body image has been pretty good. But the only time I've really struggled, and I was thinking about it earlier, is at times when I was younger, when I was injured. So like I was a big kind of, like I didn't have a very healthy diet at all, but I love sport. If I didn't play sport, I would have blown out big time, I reckon. Like I just wasn't that active. I wasn't a busy kid. I was pretty lazy unless I was playing sport. So like my reason as an adult, Dan's just looking at me like, what the hell? This all makes sense. But like as a kid, I would go to the gym because this would help me be better at cricket or football. Not because, oh yeah, lifting weights is cool. And obviously over time, like the results I got early days from the gym, I was like, this is amazing. All I have to do is be consistent and I'm just going to get stronger. Like it had such a massive impact to how confident I was, how I felt in my skin, and ultimately the output. Like it did improve me as a really, really poor cricketer and footy player, that I was like, actually, this is helping. So I'm just going to keep doing that. And it was also, in my mind, none of my teammates were really doing it. So I'm like, oh, this is a bit of an edge here. You know, like I can improve and, you know, basically play at a higher grade because I've found this and no one else is actually doing this, and it's going to help me. However, when I got injured, when I was 17, I had a bit of my fibula just broke off the bottom. Apparently it's common in, you know what the physio said? He goes, oh, this is really common in young athletes. And I was just like, oh, oh, athlete, you say? But, you know, it was just an overuse injury with growing bones, growing joints. And I basically had a piece of bone floating around under my kneecap that was the size of a 20-cent piece. So I wouldn't notice it. And then when I was running, as my knee would then flex and extend, when it flexed, the bone would pop out into the catchment bit. So like imagine your seatbelt coming into the car and then closing, and the pain was unbelievable. Anyway, had to have surgery, wasn't able to run, and that's when I was like, oh, I can't go to the gym, I can't do all this stuff. And that's when I struggled the most, was when I couldn't do the activity side.
So it wasn't how you actually looked. It was what you were capable of doing or not doing.
Yeah, and the two were linked because as I got better at, like as I got more competent physically, then I felt more confident overall.
Yes.
Whereas I was never a kid who could do the monkey bars or anything. I was way too heavy. But like I'm more athletic now than at 31 than I was at 11,
Yeah,
which is
sure.
a bit unusual.
So you would agree that you, being an overweight adult, still had quite a positive body image?
Yeah, but only because I was naively confident.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. But like it still used to bother me, and ultimately this is what led me and you, but my reasons are different for yours, down the route of studying nutrition. Was I was like, I'm training, I'm strong as, like I could deadlift 210 kilos. I'm like, why don't I look like, a machine basically? Like I could squat 150 kilos, I could bench press 130 kilos, I could deadlift over 200 kilos as a 20-year-old. And I'm like, and I still look like a potato with arms and legs. I'm like, what's going on here? And that's obviously what's gone down the nutrition path. And then as I got better at nutrition and controlling my intake, well, then my confidence has just grown off that as well. So my confidence has basically come from competence. As I became more competent in training and nutrition, my image and my confidence in that has grown.
Yeah. So we asked this question to our community, so to our private community, people that are our members. We always go to them first, and it generally generates quite a lot of conversation. From our post this week, we actually got a lot of private messages, which says a lot about the topic, I think.
Oh, it's intensely personal.
It is, it is so personal. And thank you for those that do feel comfortable enough to talk to us and message us. And it really does make these conversations really valuable. And with permission, I've asked someone if I could share some of their message. I won't say who it is, but it actually made me quite sad. I was having a little teary, knowing this person who has done a tremendous job over the years and made significant changes and has been the most incredible role model to their child, has a terrible body image due to the way they grew up. So again, that link back to environment, I think, is so massive. And we do see a lot of adults that come to us with a negative body image, and they often do talk about when they were younger.
Yeah, what they got told when they were younger.
What they got told, and especially what they got told by their mothers. That seems to be a really, really common theme.
Yeah.
But words this person used in her message were things like hate. They did mention their mum, struggling, social media. Everyone wants to be perfect. Fat.
The pressure is insane.
Really, really negative and hurtful words, like words you wouldn't say to someone else, but you're saying that to yourself.
It's like highly emotive language.
Very.
Yeah.
Very. And I want this person to know that they are incredible. And the one thing you can do, so we've all got that perception of ourselves, but what can you do to change that? And that's what I want us to talk about today.
Yeah.
So I want this person to know you have done so many things that are in your control to change this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's one of those things as well where you are not your thoughts. So like we all have pangs, or we all have flashing thoughts. We all have negative emotions, positive emotions, whatever it is. Like to wake up in a world where you don't think of yourself critically at all is fantasy. Like it won't happen. But if you can then quickly, I'm just being silly, it's just because of XYZ, it's all good. Like if you think that it's all going to be okay because, I love myself. Like, no, that's not going to happen. But is it stopping you from doing anything? Or how are you speaking about yourself to other people? Like, what are you doing? What are your actions? Because that's the most important part. Like, to me, a healthy body image is maybe not being 100% accepting or loving what you bring to the table physically or whatever, but it's not stopping you from doing anything. It's not slowing you down in your want to run a 10K or, like whatever it is that you decide is important to you. If your own vision of yourself stops you from doing that, then I think it's something that you need to work on. But if you're doing it regardless, then your actions are doing the talking for you.
Yeah, and that's what I think we wanted to address today. If it is stopping you from those actions and behaviors, you probably need to seek help.
Yeah, you're probably just
in terms
slightly
of
behind.
mental,
Yeah,
psychologist type help. However, if you can change things that are in your control with your behaviors. So, for example, if you have a negative body image and you are someone that does not exercise, right, and then you decided to exercise to try and change that, that is great.
Oh, 100%.
That is amazing.
That's the actions doing the talking again.
That is the action. That is the behavior. That is what you want to see. And that could have that shift.
Oh, it did.
In that mental
for me
space.
And lots of other people. It's like once I started lifting weights, it was empowering. I felt good, like confident in my posture was better. People asked me what I'd been, like you just start to feel like a weapon basically from lifting a few dumbbells. Who knew? But it's, it's all of that is linked. And I think like if you are struggling with this and you do think there would be benefit in unpacking it with a professional, then do it. Like there is absolutely no shame in seeking extra help if you feel as though you need it. Who knows? You may get there and discover that actually this is all quite okay and quite normal. And then in an hour or however long you continue to see someone, it's like, I've solved this for the next 30, 40, 50 years of my life after struggling with it up until now. Like it can be fixed. So like, don't have any shame in taking the necessary route that you think would be best to fix it.
Yeah.
Like you've got a long life to live. Sort it.
Yeah.
Get it better.
Yeah. So we've thrown out a few options on the table. Like we just said, it is quite a personal thing. Feel free to message us if you'd like to, if it's something you'd like to discuss. But generally speaking, if you can attach an action to it, you are on the right path.
I think just being proactive in general is, like the ultimate kickstart mental health style plan. Like with whatever you're feeling, it's, take action, fail quickly, fix it, and on you go. Anything else you'd like to add on mental health?
No, just one of the other questions one of the other questions were a little bit unsure on how to answer, but it was basically how do you adapt your training as you go through your ages. So obviously we grow up with different influences. I think it's something that we should talk about. So in our conversation pre-podcast, we use the example of our parents' generation. So our mums grew up in like the aerobics.
Jane Fonda
era.
Yeah, my mum had the VHS tapes.
Yeah.
I remember.
So
bring back that fashion, by the way.
What happens is, and now we're talking about social media, it's the same thing. Yeah, now you'd refer to it as social media, wouldn't you? The influencer side. Yeah,
or movies. Hollywood is a big one. And I was showing you an example today based on, and like, this always kills me, but the difference in what was acceptable in 2000 versus what's now and the ideal of what a superhero looks like based on the new Deadpool movie with Hugh Jackman is insane. Yeah. Like that's the level that it's like, that's a superhero body. Whereas in 2000 he looks like a fit dude.
Yeah.
Like a regular fit dude. And now he looks like he's literally been chiseled from stone. Thank you, chemicals. But it's also like, it's just a crazy level of expectation that people will compare themselves with.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point too. What you see generally is not the norm.
No, but it's also, for most of us, illegal to ascertain.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, if I think about the amount of time and effort that people spend watching other people's fake lives, like I'm talking like Netflix, like the Kardashians, Like, how can you compare yourself?
There you go. How must their body image be with the amount of work they've had done, where they're purely judged on, or not purely judged on the way they look, but that's a large part of their identity.
Yeah.
That would be hard. You know, like for them, that would be hard.
I feel so sorry for them. That's like my worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's...
And lots of people in the fitness space have spoken about this on, you know, YouTube, social media, about struggling with growing older, when it's like, how much of my success as an influencer or a content creator is linked to the way I look versus what I speak about or the message I spread. And it's like, well, probably a lot.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time.
Yeah, probably a lot.
That's something we really did with our branding, like making sure we weren't selling our bodies. We wanted our messages.
Oh, no one knows what I'm selling. What's what I'm selling?
But like it is really, it's a huge part of us and what we do, not having that attachment. And people don't realize the impact they have. Like we've had family members say, like, I'll never forget, like, someone saying to me, oh, but she's a personal trainer, that's why she looks like that. And I'm like, excuse me? Like, I couldn't even, like, and that person probably doesn't even realize they said that.
Well, there you go. There's the 99 positive and the 1 negative. That
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, that's what I'm holding on to.
Yeah. She looks like that because she's a personal trainer, not because she gets up at 6 a.m. and trains. She eats well 99% of the time.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's got nothing to do, like, being a personal trainer doesn't change my genetics.
No.
It doesn't change my behaviours.
That's like saying, oh, he's wealthy because he's a financial planner. It's like, well, like, that doesn't make any sense. It's like just because he does a certain thing doesn't mean he's going to get a really good result in that thing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like, it's a,
you still have to study to become the financial planner.
Yeah, and I mean, we know, like, you don't have longevity in this business unless you are good at helping others. Like, I know plenty of people who are like, oh, I train in the gym all the time. Cool, I'll just be a PT. And it's like, well, that's not really what it's about. Like, I became a PT because I was like, this has had a massive impact on my life and the way I feel. And it would be cool to help others do that as well. Yeah, and like, I just like the vibe. Like, it's proactive, it's good fun, you know, all that type of stuff. It's not, like, I was not the visual personal trainer type. No way. Just liked it.
Well, that's why the stats on our industry are horrific.
Oh, the amount of eating disorders and, yeah, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, not many people stay in the industry for very long either.
No, I think the average lifespan, the last time I checked, was like 9 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is a low barrier to entry industry.
Yeah. Even I was surprised when I first started my PT course. They said 50% of you won't graduate. And I was just like, what? We're here for 4 months.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
Was that accurate?
We did have a few drop off. I don't think it was quite 50%, but I was surprised.
Yeah, you might have been in a good class. Yeah, obviously there's a stats base on everything. But yeah, I think to loop back around to that original question is like, what's you know, it's basically the desired physique of the time is always like a fashionable thing. So in how old's Marilyn Monroe? Like, her time, 60s? Was like, she was a curvy girl and was like the sexiest woman on the planet. And then we went into, I believe, a term like heroin chic, you know, where it was like Kate Moss, who's tiny, and, you know, she was the lady of the times. And then it was, you know, like, it fluctuates. And then you've got people just on the never ending treadmill of trying to fit a desirable physique, when the simple fact is, had they been born 50 years ago, they probably had it. Yeah. And it's like, how crazy is that?
This is crazy. Born in 1926.
What did I say?
Died in 1962. You said the 1960s.
Yeah. But, you know, like, it's just changed. Like, years ago, being, you know, like a bigger person was a sign of luxury and power. And now it's kind of the opposite. So, who knows? It's just a crazy thing.
Different.
Just the things we measure ourselves against are just like completely irrelevant and weird.
It does change in cultures, but as long as you're comfortable with who you are and what you can do, and surround yourself with people who also support that, that's kind of where we go in life, isn't it?
I think just to wrap things up, you touched on it there. It's like if you're waiting for kind of like external acceptance or, you know, someone to pat you on the back and be like, you've made it, or, you know, like you look great, you can stop now. Like it always starts from within, you know, and it's the stories you tell yourself. It's the things you can do. It's the things you constantly do. It's your lifestyle. You know, it's how you speak to yourself. It's how quickly you can correct negative self-talk. It's all those things. But yeah, it's certainly something that we're going to have to deal with in the next 10 years in our house. But yeah, it's just a hard one because it's so individual too. Like there's no set formula that you can follow. Like you have to find what works for you.
Yeah. And yeah, I think I mentioned you before. I'll mention you again. Listen to me pumping your tyres today. But you definitely changed that piece for me. And can I also say over the last few years when I've been removed from you more than ever, when going back to work, that's definitely when I noticed a decline. And now being back with you so much, so that massive shift in environment, it has gone to move towards the positive end again. So I'm feeling like better than I have in such a long time. I'd say since I've had Harry, I haven't felt this good. But I do believe the environment piece for me is key.
That's a nice thing to say. Thank you.
Welcome.
We'll wrap it up there. I'm feeling pretty good now. All right, guys. See you later.
Bye.